Do you want to better yourself? Do you want to take it to the next level? Do you want to live a life full of intention? Do you want to be purposeful? Do you want to understand the happy, successful you, the happy success you? Well, guess what, friends and family? I got my colleague, someone that I used to know back in the day that was right down the street from my office that I used to refer patients to. She has changed her life. She's taken it to the next level. Friends and family, today I'm hanging out with Dr. Christine Lee. Let's go. This is a Defocus Media production.
Audio Jungle.
What's up, everyone? It's your favorite optometrist, Dr. Daryl Glover.
And I'm Dr. Jennifer Lyerly, resident optometry nerd.
And welcome to Defocus Media, optometry's #1 podcast, where we discuss the hottest topics, latest technology, eyewear, practice management, and more. So sit back, relax, and defocus. What's up, everyone? It's your favorite optometrist, Dr. Daryl Glover. Super excited today because I have a colleague of mine that I've known for quite a bit of time, and I'm super excited because she has done so much in life, and today I get to share her story. I get to share her journey. But I'm super excited because every year we start the year off fresh. Every year we have an opportunity to have a reset. And I think it's only right to bring on guests that can help us with that reset and take our life to the next level, whether it's personally, whether it's professionally, whether it's growing in leadership, whether it's finding attention. And today, my colleagues, I have the one and only Dr. Christine Lee. How are you doing today, Dr. Lee?
Oh, I'm doing well. Thank you so much for that intro.
Hey, you know, when you're a big deal, I got to give a big deal intro like that, my friend. So super excited to see you again. I miss you. I remember when you were here in my backyard in Durham, North Carolina, and now you're down in Houston, Texas, living your best life. But a lot's changed since we've actually seen each other, right? So,
Yes.
Today I'm super excited to really dive into your journey as an ophthalmologist, but also in your journey as a leader, right? And I'm really excited to talk about your book that you have coming out. So we got a lot of things to cover today, but welcome to the show. Just in case you didn't know, Dr. Lee, this is optometry's #1 podcast, right? In the world.
I'm really excited to be here. And do miss you.
Hey, look, we have over 250,000 downloads, and we bring the best of the best, and we love to share stories and journeys. And we're going to start with you. Now, I know you fairly well, but my colleagues out there, they may not know who you are. So let's get the party started by learning a little bit more about who is Dr. Lee. If you don't mind, maybe kind of walking us through their journey of who you are, where you're from, how you got into the wonderful world of eye care, and maybe some schooling background and specialty as well. So let's kind of take it from the beginning and share your story. So ball's in your court, my friend.
Sure. I'm a board-certified ophthalmologist, author, speaker, and executive professional certified coach now. So I have practiced as a comprehensive ophthalmologist, specializing in cataract and refractive surgery for 2 decades. And just to give you a little educational background, I graduated from the University of Michigan Honors College, where I did double major in philosophy and cellular molecular biology.
Wow. That's a hell of a education.
University of Michigan Medical School and the University of Virginia Ophthalmology Department for residency program. You were asking about my fun fact.
Yes, please share.
So I play the piano.
Okay.
And when I was young, I wanted to be a concert pianist, but that did not materialize. However, I used to sometimes think during the times when I'm doing my cataract surgery, I would pretend my operating room is the stage and I would perform my best work there.
Very nice. I like that. It's interesting that you bring that up. I know a few other surgeons, and it seems like all surgeons have something that they turn into when they perform surgery. I know one cataract surgeon and glaucoma specialist, whenever he does his surgery, he turns into Superman. I mean, he has the hat, the cape, and all that other jazz, and patients love it and adore it. So I wonder if that's a common theme with a lot of ophthalmologists out there that perform these procedures.
I am not sure about that. However, that's interesting. I like the Superman idea too. Yeah.
Hey, you want to be patients' heroes, especially when it comes to cutting their eyes, right? So you want to make
Yes.
sure that you're performing at a high level. But that's fantastic. I learned something new about you today, and I'm super excited about that.
Great.
So let's talk a little bit about business, right? You've done a lot. Clearly, we gave a good overview, high level, and we're going to get a little more into the weeds today. But I want to take it back to when I used to refer patients to you, right? I want to know, what was it like starting a practice as an ophthalmologist, right? Because I'm pretty sure there's some similarities with optometry, but there's also some differences with optometry. So maybe if you could walk us through what that journey looks like, because I feel like a lot of your leadership skills were birthed a long time ago, and you really learned more of those or honed in on those skills by owning and running a practice as well. So maybe if you can kind of walk us through what that journey looked like.
Sure. I'd be happy to. Um, so, what I've learned is that I learned a lot from my patients. Every
Mm,
time a patient comes in, I'm trying to listen in as to what I should be doing or not doing. And a lot of them will share with me if you would only listen. So I love that experience and I learned a lot from my patient, as I said. But the other thing about this is that I learn or I realize that I've been coaching with my patients because
nice.
you cannot go home with your patients as much as we would like to. So some things are pretty simple, but when it becomes cataract, patients may be bothered by their vision or some are not. So it is okay to wait. I would offer choices for patients. And
Gotcha.
I learned to educate them about the choices they make, the impact to them, and just be able to listen in gave me a lot of clue as to what will be right choice for this patient.
Nice. I love that, because when you think about it, if we're coaching patients, which we do every day, we can handle anything in life, because think about it. We're helping people with the most precious sense, which is sight, right? So to be able to
Right,
coach someone through cataract surgery, to be able to coach someone through dry eye management, to be able to coach someone through myopia control. These are
right.
life changing things that's going to impact that person that sits in front of us life forever. So when you think about that and the things you learn as a healthcare provider, as a physician, as an ophthalmologist, as an optometrist, this is kind of part of who we are as people, right? We are natural leaders, we are natural coaches, personally and also professionally, right? Because these two things, they're a combination or hybrid, or they integrate together essentially, right?
Yes. But second thing I also learned is that everyone is unique. You
Mm,
know how we generalize our conditions and
yeah,
diagnosis and we trying to treat everybody the same? That
yeah.
does not work. So what I also was very valuable to me was that because everyone has different goals and dreams and challenges, now I'm kind of getting my coaching hat on, but at the same time, people's strengths, their experience are all different, and how they approach life is quite different. So I learned all that during my patient care, and I've utilized it in my coaching.
Nice, nice. And I think this is a good segue to jump into coaching, right? I mean, number one, you've learned to coach, you learn to understand that that patient in front of you is unique. When you can understand that concept, it allows you to really tap into them differently, right? When you don't look at someone as the same as everyone else, it doesn't become cookie cutter, right?
Right.
It gets more hands-on, it gets more into the weeds, it really gets to understand that person that's sitting in front of you. Let's dive into this coaching. I know medicine played a major role in it, and I know it's changed your life, but I'm curious to know, because it was easy for you to make that transition, but there are tons of other doctors, other healthcare professionals out there that may be experiencing the same. What kind of advice or tips do you have for these physicians that may be looking to jump into the coaching world? Because clearly we do have it inside of us, but we may need someone to help unleash it, right?
Right. So for coaching world, I realize it's a lot more involved than just coaching patients.
Okay.
With patients, it was kind of clear in some ways as to how to coach them. But when I took my IPAC courses, that's Institute for Professional Excellence in Coaching, and then I took also the ICF credentialing, that's International Coaching Federation, I learned so much more. And you also become transformational in terms of changes that you expect. So I spent about 8 to 9 months studying how to be a coach. Although I thought I was a pretty good coach because you also coach your kids, right? But at the same time, I just learned so much more. There are a lot of basic skills
Yeah.
as well as advanced skills. And by learning so much and experiencing them yourself, you can become a better coach. So I just want to put that in there. And it was during COVID. So it was perfect timing for me because I couldn't go alive and see and do things anyway. So I went on virtual classes, online classes, and spent 9 months, did lots of homework and things, but it changed me. And I think I'm becoming happier just because I can do what I realize that I'm good at.
Well, I love that, and I love that you are very transparent that you got coaching or took courses to become a better coach, right?
Right.
Because a lot of times, especially when you're in higher education or have had that history of higher education, we tend to just feel like we're perfect or great at everything, right? But we need coaching as well, right?
Yes.
So it's good to hear that number one, there are opportunities out there to learn to become a better coach with these different courses that are available. And it's good to hear that you can take them online as well, right? Because
Mhm.
as healthcare professionals, as physicians, we live a busy life. I personally think, coaching is something that all healthcare professionals need to hone in on and make a part of their everyday conversation, right?
Yes.
This is not just with patients, but it's also with the team members in your office, right? How
Right.
can you coach that front desk to communicate better with the person that walks in that door? It could be little simple things such as, when you're speaking to that patient, make sure you're smiling, right? Because you're the first point of contact, right?
Yes.
How can you coach that technician to have better conversation and dialogue to be able to pull more out of them? So when they
Mhm.
get into your office, the physician's office, you're able to have a better conversation and it's easier to build that trust and authority with the patient, right? How can we coach better with our team members, not just with our patients? I think is a big deal. So I'm encouraging everyone to get out there and do some coaching on their own.
So you brought up a good point. Way I define leadership. I like to think everyone is a leader. If
Yes.
you are influencing someone to take some actions, then you're being a leader,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I used to tell my staff that you can hear the smile.
Ooh.
So,
Say that,
so
say that
I
one more
was,
time. You got to say that one more time because that was heavy. I love that. Say that one more time, Dr. Lee.
you can hear the smile.
Woo. Just giving
I
me some
like
chills and
that.
goosebumps there. I mean, that's real and that's heavy. I mean, like, I don't think people understand, the power of smiling, the power of a frown, the power of um, just looking at someone, right? Like
Right.
these things may be silent, but the impact that they make is heavy, it's powerful, it's impactful, it's effective. So we got to do more of those things and understand the power of it.
Right. And if you actually, I put it in my book, people have done studies. So people have went around and smiled at people. You get more smiles back.
Yeah, it's
than somebody
contagious.
who would not be smiling.
100%.
So,
100%.
yeah, people respond to your smile.
I love it. I love it. Now, I want to kind of pivot, and you mentioned it, your book, right? You got a book coming out. Happy, Successful You, Unleashing a Life of Intentional Choices, Purpose, and Meaning. That is a powerful title. That is a game changing title. That is a title that will change your life. And that's why I wanted to really have you here for this conversation because, again, it's top of the year. It's time to reset. It's time to figure out, how can we make ourselves happier people. And I think it all revolves around, unleashing, your purpose, the meaning of life, and just being a little more intentional when you choose things. So I'd really like to spend the next segment really talking about number one, why did you write this book? Right. And then number two, maybe high level overview of what the book is about, if you don't mind, Dr. Lee.
Okay, sure. So I wrote the book to empower our readers to make intentional choices. Because in an article in one of the Inc.com said we make 35,000 choices a day.
Jeez.
I know. And so if you think about that, we are almost stuck on an autopilot, right?
Yeah.
But some of the choices that we make must be important, right?
Yeah.
Think about a patient care you just did, right?
Yeah.
For that person, it's hugely important. So, way I look at all these things is that I wanted to put it in a framework. So, with my philosophy background, it's got some philosophical thoughts in there,
Okay.
hoping that that would help. So, existentialism basically say you exist before your essence. So there's no purpose for you. You get to create your own purpose and
Okay.
your own meaning.
Okay.
Imagine that.
I know. I mean, that sounds exciting. It sounds rewarding. It sounds purposeful.
Yeah, it's empowering.
Yeah.
So I didn't go too much into philosophy, but I added some of these things to help us select out the philosophers that you like, that you want to use, so that you have a basis for it. And so that's the book.
Yeah. I
Now,
love that.
in addition, I actually trying to give people opportunity to look at new possibilities. So the way I've done that is 4 R's. That's what I call refocus, reperspective, reframe, and reevaluate. So
Nice.
in one of those chapters, I have a discussion of that, and I do have this companion to the book, which is free download, and you can help yourself. So I just want to go into refocus more in detail, if I may.
Absolutely. I would love to go into whatever you would like in detail because this is something that we need, especially top of the year. And for those that want to download this companion book, where can they download that, Dr. Lee?
Oh, it's christineeleemd.com
Gotcha.
slash books,
Nice.
plural.
Very
And
nice,
then,
very nice. So you guys make sure you check that out. ChristineELeeMD.com /books with a S, plural. Make sure you check it out, download it. And then also keep in mind with Dr. Lee, she is a coach, she is a leader. You can set up, these 15-minute sessions on a Zoom call, and she can put you on the game. She can help assist you. She can help you refocus, right?
yes.
Let's talk about that. Break down refocus for me, Dr. Lee.
So if you could look at your thoughts or as well as your life under a slit lamp, imagine that.
Okay.
So we all know
You
what a
know what?
slit lamp is.
You're making me a little nervous because I might make people nervous if they can see my thoughts because this thing doesn't stop up here. It just keeps going and going and going to the point where my wife is just like, stop talking, right? So, but I'm gonna stop talking and take her advice, and I'm gonna let you continue going on. But yes, slit lamp, looking at my thoughts. What's next?
So what's in your center? What are you looking at? What are you trying to do?
Mm.
So that's generally your priority, right?
Yeah.
But if you were to go from low magnification and then going to high magnification, in low magnification, we get a bigger area of field, right?
Yeah.
So then things like what are the surrounding concerns or surrounding areas of your
Yeah.
center? Have you looked at all of those? And then when you go into high mag, you go more into detail or
Yeah.
parts of it into more detail. And so you want to ask yourself, what is coming in detail for you? What is clear? But some of the areas may not be clear. So you're going to need to refocus. What is it and how am I going to get some of the other areas in focus
Yeah.
or more in details?
Let me ask you this, because I like this concept and I love how you broke it down for us eye care professionals with the slit lamp. I mean, that's
Yep.
just, we use that every day. We get it, we understand it. But when you're more of that, broad focus, how many of us actually spend time in that area instead of, really refocusing and fine-tuning? Because I feel like sometimes as eye care professionals, we get stuck in doing the same thing every day, and we may miss where we need to really be focusing to take our career to the next level, to take our life to the next level, to maybe find that purpose that we're searching for. So I'm curious to know, do you tend to see a lot of people kind of stuck or lost in the sauce in those outer parts and just never really make it there? Because I'm curious to know, is that something that people are struggling with?
So I've seen it both ways.
Okay.
Because when I do a workshop and refocus
Yeah.
some of these hours, I ask them after you figure out what you're looking at the center, then you need to figure out whether in the low magnification or high magnification. So they usually decide what they've been looking at.
Okay.
So you can now create low magnification, so broader view, and you may have forgotten, oh yeah, I have somebody who I need to take care of or balance things. It may be, and I sometimes feel like, oh, I thought that would be in high focus, but
Right.
then it's the client who gets to decide.
I like that. I like.
So sometimes you may have missed things, like you said, when you look at patient's eyes, you do it really quick, right?
Right.
Because
Right.
we're all in a hurry.
Hey, that's the life we live. Instant gratification and always on the move, right?
But
Um,
if you could just slow it down a little
yeah,
and re-examine things, that's where reevaluate comes in. And
gotcha.
then, yeah, trying to figure out what your strength may be. And strength is not like what you're good at. Strength, real strength, is what engages you and what energizes you.
Gotcha.
So um, when I was looking for my new career, I was asking myself a lot of questions, right? What
Yeah.
would make me happy? What would I like to do? And what I realized was not only was I coaching patients, I was coaching a lot of other people. And I loved it because it was that engagement, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you almost feel like time doesn't exist anymore because it may fly away when you're engaged and energized.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Awesome. I want to. I love that, and I want to circle back to the refocusing. I'm very intrigued, and I like this concept. And from what I'm hearing, I feel like we should constantly be bouncing back and forth between the two, right? You
mhm,
should always be refocusing and then reevaluating your journey through life, right? Because to your point, sometimes when you're looking at the big broader picture, you may see something over here that you need to be a little more hands-on, and you forgot about it because you're too focused on something that may be occupying your time that doesn't need to occupy your time, right?
mhm.
So I in my personal opinion, I think I probably need to refocus a little bit more, because sometimes I do get stuck on that point here where I'm locked in, I'm loaded, I'm looking at it. It's all I know. That's all I want to do. And then sometimes you can forget these things on the outskirts. So I think it is good to refocus and then reevaluate to make sure that you're performing at a high level in life. Because to your point, time flies. And before you know it, you may forget something that was more out here that you should have been paying a little more attention to, whether that's your health, whether that's your family, whether that's your profession, whether that's a loved one, whatever it may be. So I really love that concept of refocusing and then reevaluating.
So, the difference, I think, between having a coaching conversation
Hmm.
or a general conversation is this: coaching conversation needs to be solution focused or outcome based.
Okay.
So, what it is that you really want is the question. If you cannot articulate, then how do you know when you get there?
Mm.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, it's just having little goals as well. So, just thinking about that.
Yeah.
What are your goals? And some people are very good. They know exactly what they want. They want to
Right.
know, they know exactly what they want to do tomorrow, today, etc. But some of us who are just been in autopilot, we really need to think hard.
Yeah.
So, in my book, we discuss what is it you want and who's going to help you, who's with you, what are you doing at that time, um, and just looking at everything you can vision out what may make you happier. You
Yeah.
can, and I make a lot of suggestions in the book too, obviously. So,
Well, I'm super excited. I'm definitely going to check it out. No doubt about that. Something that I would like to challenge you on. I actually heard this on a podcast, and I can't remember his name. I think it's Jay Shetty. I can't remember 100%, but he suggested instead of using the word goals, to change it to more of priorities. And when I heard that, I was like, man, I like that. And that makes sense because every year, top of the year, I set goals. How many of those goals really get done, right? But Dr. Lee, when I set priorities, I get it done. And I get it done
oh,
immediately. I get it done efficiently, effectively. So, all my colleagues out there that have started the new year and they set these goals, maybe change that word to priorities because we all know words are powerful and it controls what you think here, right? So we all know when we prioritize things, it changes how we look at those things. But just wanted to put that out there because you had mentioned goals and I thought about priorities and I've kind of changed my verbiage. So I just wanted to add my little 2 cents to
sure.
that as
No,
well.
I like that a lot. So priorities are very important, but at the same time, way I'm recommending goal is that there's no failure in your goal.
Mm, I like that.
So first goal would be your ideal goal, right?
Okay.
And then second goal, maybe not as ideal, but trying to get to that direction.
Yeah.
And then the third goal is something that you're learning from.
Okay.
So you may not have achieved that particular goal. However, if you have learned something, that's
Yeah.
valuable as well. Because if you were to do it again, now you get some insights and you can change direction.
Yeah. I love
So,
that.
yeah, so way I have set goals is not goal like most people do, but
Yeah.
it's kind of looking at it a little differently
Yeah. I
and
like that
making sure
three-pronged
you
approach.
learn something.
Yeah. With that, the way you have those goals set up, you always win. You always learn,
Exactly.
because you're breaking it down in different aspects, right? So that's a huge deal. And we all know if you win just a little bit, it gives you that extra push to take it to the next level. Even if you don't get to where you want to this time, at least you learn something and now you learn how to elevate whatever you're doing to get to the promised land, right?
Yes.
So I love that approach. You putting me on the game today, Dr. Lee. I really like this. I'm enjoying this, and I hope everyone out there is listening and learning and writing and taking notes. You probably see me look over to the side, and that's exactly what I've been doing because I want to become a better person. I want to become a better leader. I want to be a better coach. I want to find the right solutions for whoever I'm coaching as well. So I really, really appreciate this. Now, you had a couple of other R's in there. I mean, are we able to maybe, high level kind of touch on those briefly as well? Because, you got me all super excited over here. You can't just leave me without touching on some of those as well, Dr. Lee.
Sure. So, re-perspective is considering views of other parties. So, if I use a medical example here, think about a new service that you decide to implement, and then you're just thinking through a patient's eye. How would patients think about this?
Yeah.
How much benefit, and how do we implement it for them? And what would be their concern? And then as well as your payers. So would insurance cover this type of exam, right? Because that's important.
Yeah.
And then you also need to know how you would market it. What about the salesperson who's involved with this? What kind of equipment would I need? And so if you do a multi-perspective, that's what I call it, then you can put together not only for your point of view as a doctor, but you can put it together for staff's perspective, because staff has to help you, right?
Absolutely. No doubt. Yeah.
And then, so if you consider everyone's perspective, then you can't go wrong.
I love it. I love it.
Sometimes we forget what the other person may be thinking.
Yeah.
And so the other thing to do is bring everybody in together and just ask, right?
Hey, the power of just asking can go a long way. Number one, I always tell folks, especially if someone thinks there's going to be a no. I mean, the worst someone could say is no to something, right? But if you don't ask, you never know. But also, when you ask questions, it helps you solve problems. It helps you find solutions because someone's going to give you some type of information that's going to help you answer that question or go to the next level in whatever you're doing. So I love that. I love that.
So aside to that, I also have a personal experience. So with my daughter, for example,
Okay.
her perspective is that I never listened to her. I don't remember anything she said, etc. But I think what it is that sometimes as a mom, you overdo things, right? So simple things, I ask, what kind of pizza would you like? And she would say pepperoni pizza. That's her favorite. I got that. And then sometimes I'm ordering something different, and I also ask again, right? In case she changed her mind. Then she's already now at that point, she said, "You're not listening to me." But what it was is when I was growing up, I was left out a lot. We were in a bigger family. And so I always felt like I'm left out. So I had to get my share and things. Whereas she's always been taken care of. So she's coming from the perspective that I'm not listening. But if you think about that and consider how the other person is interpreting by asking questions, because not everybody thinks similarly.
Right. We all have different perspectives because, to your point earlier, we all have different walks of life, right? Where I grew up, what I did in my youth is probably completely different from yours, right? So how do we have conversations that can help accommodate that person that's sitting in front of us where they feel like they're a part of the conversation, where it's inclusive, where they feel welcome and we're accommodating their needs as well. That was heavy right there, Dr. Lee, because in today's society, we need to see more of that, especially as healthcare professionals, because sometimes we do get on that autopilot. Sometimes we do see a study and we're like, nothing has changed. But we all know more technology is coming out, more data is coming out, things are changing. So we can't have the same lens anymore. We have to have more of a broader perspective of things. And to your point, that starts with asking questions,
Yes.
understanding cultures. I'm a big
So,
fan, Dr. Lee, of, people should travel more.
yes.
People should eat different foods because those
Yes.
things open up your perspective of how things actually operate and how people communicate and how people see things, right? It gives you a different perspective altogether.
So that reminds me, one of the chapter I have is making meaningful connection.
Mm,
And I'm trying to think of things like kindness. My number one rule in our household was being
yeah,
kind to each other, being kind to others, and even to strangers, uh, because I think that makes the world go around.
absolutely.
Yeah, as well as, of course, empathy. You need to have self compassion
Oh,
and
yeah.
compassion for others. But, you know, I also talk about some empathy is not always good. You would think the empathy is always good, right? You get to understand people and etc.
Let's break that down a little bit more, Dr. Lee, because we got a bunch of healthcare professionals listening to this podcast, listening to this live stream, and they're probably like, "What the hell? Empathy is not." So you got to break that down. Let's kind
Yeah.
of break that down from top to bottom, if you don't mind.
So let's say during COVID, we had hospitals were full and we couldn't admit patients anymore. We had to turn them away. And if you are working in those things, you get a lot of negative things, loss of lives, there's grief, there's a lot of pain people are feeling. And as a frontline person, if you were to enter, so empathy is feeling the same as
Mhm.
the other person, right?
Yep.
Understanding their feeling.
Yep.
But if you are in that all the negative, that was part of the reason why some of the frontline physicians and others got depressed and couldn't get to work, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So when you're in that negative space, you need to make sure you have boundaries.
Mm.
And I think having self-care to take care of ourselves is so important
Yeah. Yeah.
because we give and give.
Yeah, you said a lot of powerful things there, and the thing that I understand what you're saying with empathy now, and when you look at what took place during COVID, it was a lot of the same cases and scenarios, and when you look at that cumulative effect, that can have a big impact on who you are as a person, right?
Right.
So I get where you're coming from, but something that you touched on that I love was the word boundaries. Um, we don't set boundaries as healthcare professionals simply because we did take an oath, right? We know that we're supposed to be there to help those patients, but sometimes that puts us in a bad place. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Again, top of the year, everyone. Dr. Lee is dropping gems. She's dropping jewels. She's helping you become a better person with these 4 R's. But if there's something that I would love for you to take from this podcast, is really make sure you set your boundaries, because that is the key to success. You gotta know how to set your boundaries, which leads into the next big word that you use, or the thing that really touched me, and that's self-care. I would love for you to maybe touch on what are some things that we can do for self-care, especially as healthcare professionals, because sometimes we don't set boundaries. We get a little lost in the sauce, and before you know it, we're burned out, right? So if you
Yes.
don't mind, maybe spending a little bit of time on
Sure.
self-care.
So I like the airplane example.
Okay.
On the plane, they always say, put on your mask first before you assist others.
Yes. Hopefully we
Because
don't need
if
to do
you're,
that. But
yeah.
yes, I do hear that all the time.
So self care differs depending on the person. Some
Okay.
people like to exercise. They may be a runner. They go out and run despite the weather. Um, Or some people like to just meditate or just be mindful of where they are and, do centering type of exercises. There's a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
I think, or some people even like to just go take a bath or spa or those kind of things.
I like
Or,
manicures and pedicures, and this may
yes,
not be as healthy, but a nice glass of wine as well, my friend.
sure. Oh, yeah. So, way we relax differs.
Yes.
So I cannot advocate one particular way,
Yeah.
but just think what helps you to recharge or
Yeah.
recover and feeling energized all over again.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it.
So,
Good. 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 Well, Dr. Lee, this has been fantastic. You've really blessed us with some amazing information, especially top of the year when we're trying to reset and figure out where we want to go personally and professionally. And I think your framework of those 4 R's, especially with that refocusing, can really help to change, the journey for 2024. So I really encourage all my colleagues out there to visit Dr. Lee's website, right? Visit it. If you're watching right now live, you can definitely go to ChristineELeeMD.com and make sure that you put in to get that book, right? Make sure you take it to the next level to really be able to develop that happy, successful you, to be able to unleash, a life of intentional choices, to be able to live a purposeful life, to be able to understanding the meaning of who you are as a person and have meaningful conversations as well. Dr. Lee, this has been fantastic. If you could leave one piece of advice for all of our colleagues out there, what would that be, Dr. Lee?
I would say invest time for yourself
Mm,
to develop yourself to your full potential.
I
And
love
I
it.
may leave the second one, which is um, keep learning, because there's so much information out there. You
Yeah,
may even have to make an intentional choice in what you want to learn. But the more we learn, you mentioned about other cultures and all that and traveling. Excellent idea.
yeah,
But I think the more we learn, because these things are for us, no one can take it away from you.
yeah. I love it. I love it. And then, Dr. Lee, I'm gonna circle back to the top of the conversation. We actually had someone that had chimed in earlier, and they were asking, where can they take some of those coaching courses? So, if you don't mind, maybe just saying that one more time, so that those that are listening, they can be just like you. Everybody wants to grow up and be like Dr. Lee. So, if you don't mind sharing those coaching websites as well, or if they could reach out to you for that coaching, if that's an opportunity as well, what does that look like?
Sure. I'm happy to do both. So I personally took IPAC, which goes through pretty rigorous, and their tuition is not cheap either, just to warn you. And then um, it does take like 8, 9 months of dedication. But after that, you get to become, certified professional coach, as well as you can take the ICF. It's a credentialing body for the coaches. So being a member of ICF, International Coaching Federation, and if you just look that up, I'm sure you'll find it. They give you like ACC, Associate Professional Coach, and then PCC. After 500 hours, you get to be Professional Certified Coach,
Oh,
as
wow.
I am. And then there's a Master's where you could spend 5,000 hours
Wow.
and then do all that. So um, there are bodies that helps you govern. And if you have any other question, I'm happy to talk to you.
Yeah, and again, for those that may be interested in you helping them to become a better leader, for those that are interested in your book, for those that maybe are interested in some type of consulting with you, again, what is the best contact information, Dr. Lee?
I would say just visit my website and book a 15-minute call with me, and I'm happy to meet you. And sometimes we may end up doing additional, complementary things to make sure I can help someone. Because I don't like to take somebody who would not be able to get what it is they want. So I actually am passionate about helping high performing individuals and to become their, with their intentions, purpose, and values, their core values, become the best version of themselves.
I love it. I love it. Dr. Lee, thank you so much for taking time to chat with me today. This has been fantastic. I've learned so much. I feel like I'm a better person just with this little bit of time that I spent with you already. And I'm super excited to see you whenever we can link again, whether you're visiting the Triangle or from down in Houston. I'll definitely catch up with you. But thank you again so much for being on the show.
Oh, thank you for having me. It was, I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Anytime. Well, everyone, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you follow us on all platforms, YouTube, Stitcher, Google Play, you name it. We're on every podcast platform out there. But make sure you check us out on YouTube. We have incredible videos like Dr. Lee and others out there that are talking about purpose, that are talking about attention. But we also have stuff to help make you better clinicians, whether it's talking about how to manage geographic atrophy, how to manage dry eye, how to manage, critical conversations in that exam lane, how to perfect that doctor-patient relationship. Check out our YouTube page. Follow us on all social media platforms at Defocus Media. Thanks again for tuning in, everyone. It's your favorite optometrist, Dr. Daryl Glover. Stay healthy, stay positive, stay blessed, and until next time, peace. All right, colleagues, and it's a wrap. Thank you dearly for hanging out with the Defocus Media team. We hope truly something resonated with you. And until next time, be sure to keep it 2020, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode.